What's going on, everybody? Hope you are well. Podcast time. Marc Romboy, owner of Systematic Recordings. I've been playing his music for a very long time. He is an extremely talented producer, has been in the industry for a long time. And he is has just released an album called Music Made for Aliens, which is quite possibly one of the best album names I've heard in a very long time. So I want you to go and listen to his album, please. Towards the end of the podcast, we've also did a competition to give away his final test press of the album on vinyl. So please, if you make it to the end, go check that out, and we're going to be posting that up on the socials. Yeah, I'm going to stop talking. This conversation was great. He's a lovely guy. I've also just remixed his record, Henenda. It's out now. You can go check that out as well. Yeah, without further ado, Marc Romboy. Marc Romboy, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm fine. Nice to meet you.
You too, man. This is kind of an interesting moment for me because I've been playing your music for absolutely years. And I'm finally meeting you, but I've also had a remix of you come out on the 28th of Feb. I think it's the 28th or 24th. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's out. So yeah, this is amazing for me. So thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, likewise. Very nice to meet you via this channel, and hopefully we see each other in
person soon.
Physical forms very soon.
Whereabouts are you in the world?
I'm in a town called Mönchengladbach, which is in between a triangle of Düsseldorf, the Dutch border, and the Belgian border.
Okay.
And it's quite close to Düsseldorf. So when I fly to gigs, I take the Düsseldorf airport.
Yeah. So where are you actually, like, where did you grow up?
I grew up here.
Oh, wow.
It's a very interesting thing because almost every colleague of us I know moved to a different place after a while.
Yeah.
No, to be more precise, I'm living in the street, just the other end of the street where I grew up as a child.
No way. That's amazing. What made you want to stay?
Excuse me?
What made you want to stay?
Well, it's a coincidence. I used to live in Berlin and New York, Williamsburg for a while.
Yeah.
In Williamsburg, I stayed in 2009. South 8th Street, unforgettable. Ooh. Great times.
I used to live in North 1st Street.
Ah, you see?
In Williamsburg,
It's just a stone throw away from Peter Luger's Steakhouse.
Exactly, literally, yeah. Like, so close.
Yeah, the thing is, I love to travel. I love to be around. And it was a couple of years ago when I showed my wife my hood, my childhood hood. And I just wanted to show her where I grew up, where I played as a child, blah, blah, blah. The forest where I hang out and all this stuff. And then there was, at the other end of the street, this house, which was vacant.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. Now we live in this house.
That's amazing.
It's fun. And to be even more, to be even more precise, from my house, I can see the hospital where I was born.
No way. That's wild. It's kind of unheard of that because not many people, especially in this industry, stay where they or end up where they grew up. I kind of split my time between Detroit and the UK, and I'm literally I'm in the house next door to my parents when I'm in the UK, which is in the middle of nowhere. Like, no one lives around here. It's in the countryside, so it's kind of a similar situation to you, but it is funny how our lives, we travel so much and most people just end up in different cities.
True, but it's nice. I mean, I always know where I come back to.
Totally.
I meet old friends. I meet friends in the scene. So it's a nice mix of where I come from and where I was going. So I love it, actually. I mean, despite the weather, of course. I mean, you know how it is. Detroit and London aren't better weather-wise. So, but hey, summer is approaching at least.
Yeah, for me, like I don't know why, but weather doesn't really bother me. I like cold weather. I like the snow. I actually prefer like I'm not a huge fan of summer because I hate being really hot. I just can't deal with it. So I think like living in colder climates is way more suited to me. But so many people just moan about this. It's the first thing every English person does is moan about the weather, even if it's too hot or even if it's too cold. They're never happy about the weather.
I think I know the reason. You have, I'm sure you have some Viking genes.
Literally.
So, and the Vikings don't never like this. This warm weather. No, I totally agree. I'm also not a fan of the super hot weather. Nevertheless, I don't know how it is in London, but since beginning of January 22, since the beginning of December 22, the sun has not shown up at all.
Really?
So, and I love to
get sun.
To hold my face into the sun sometimes.
Yeah, man. We're quite lucky here in the UK. Like we have sunny days, but they're cold. Obviously today is pretty grey and grim. But my favorite is a cold winter's morning when the sun is shining, like blue skies, frosty on the floor. That's perfect.
Can you send this weather over? Because you know that the weather's always traveling from south of England to my area, right?
Yeah, you're not far from England at all.
No,
really close. That's why I love.
When you make a line from my place to London without the water, I think it's 500 kilometers.
Is it really?
London is closer to my place than Berlin.
No
the only
way.
problem is the water between.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Can someone build a bridge, please?
I know.
Finally.
I know. I know we have the Eurostar and the channel, but does that go to Germany?
It goes to Belgium.
Goes to Belgium. Yeah, because I guess that would be so good if it did.
Yeah, please, one day.
So good.
Hopefully we will experience this day.
When I used to live in Ibiza, I used to drive to Ibiza from the UK, and I'd go through France and take the channel through France, which is amazing. And it's like, it makes so much sense to be able to do that. I've got one of my really good friends, he lives in Austria, and he's always just driving from country to country in Europe. And you're just like, it's so much easier than flying. I way prefer driving than flying, personally.
Yeah, it's much more comfortable and you are independent. And when I do bookings in the Netherlands and in Belgium and in my German area, I always take the train and the car because, I mean, flying is nice. It's good that we have this opportunity.
Of course.
Although there are, of course, some climate problems with flying, but if you want to go to Australia, I mean, the car is not the best option. So
definitely.
But I also prefer to take the train to the areas here around me.
Yeah. Do you work when you're on the train?
No. It's I have too much energy inside of me.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty impatient person.
Okay.
Especially at the airport when I have to wait at the immigration or at the security check.
Yeah.
It's a very tough thing for me. And same on the plane. I rather listen to podcasts or music or newspaper.
Yeah, I agree. I
can't work on the plane or train.
Yeah, I didn't. I used to for a period, and then it just never was productive. But this year, I'm like purposely trying to make myself work more in different situations. Just like not necessarily finish tracks or just like start ideas or something, because I'm like, I don't know about you, but there comes a point where the touring takes over and there comes a point when you just actually don't have enough time to spend time on the music that you really need to spend time to, which then is the reason why you're touring. So it's like almost the touring destroys the creative process because we don't have enough time.
Yeah, there are many colleagues of us who are doing this. I hear this a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm not this kind of guy. I would love to, and it makes sense, especially when it comes to long flights. But maybe
tough.
one day. But at the moment, I need my studio. And also, I really have to admit that after the show, I need 2 days to recover, and I'm very exhausted.
Yeah.
And my ears are very sensitive, so I need silence after the show for 2 days, so I can't listen to anything anymore. And
I understand.
You don't want to see me on the plane, so it's with the headphones
Hood
like
up,
this, and the sleeping mask, and then like this,
cutting the world out.
Nobody would recognize me on the plane.
Do you wear earplugs when you play?
Oh, what a bad question. Well, I have plugs, but I don't use them often enough, to be honest, because it's very unreasonable. But when the gig is so great and I'm not taking drugs at all, so music is my drug, then I need the volume in my ears, and that's my only vice, maybe, that I hear music too loud.
I understand.
So, but it's my drug. I mean, when I hear good music, when I have a good time with the people in the club or wherever, then I need this kick with loud music. What about you?
No, I've worn earplugs since I was 12 years old, going to like when I first started. My ears are like really sensitive, so I just like don't like being in loud places without them. I think because I've just had them for so long, I've just gotten used to wearing them, and it doesn't affect me. However, when you play that really shitty club and the monitor speakers are horrible.
But this is never happening to us, right?
This happens every weekend. It's
impossible.
Yeah, it's really hard to like get into it, but I also am like very conscious that I need to look after my ears. So it's kind of like I sometimes take them out because I can't hear and I have to mix. But then I end up just being like, okay, well, I'm just going to have to take one for the team, put my earplugs back in and just not get the vibe and hope everyone has a good time, because my ears are way more important. But yeah, we've all got friends that don't wear them and do wear them. And it's just, have you ever thought of in-ear monitors?
I don't know. You know what the thing is? I'm 52 years old now. And believe it or not, the first time when I went to a discotheque was in 1985.
Wow.
So especially at the beginning when house music and techno music were about to start. So 1985, it's 23 now. Wow, almost 40 years.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Okay, and I have tinnitus.
Yeah.
Since, I don't know, 20 years. But it's okay. I can live with it. It sounds a bit like 14K high string in my ears. And
the tensor string.
I only recognize this when I talk about it or when I'm aware of it. But I have the impression it's a bit like with radioactivity. So there are people living in the area of Chernobyl. They are 85 years old. They are living there since it happened in this atomic power plant.
Yeah.
They're still alive. They drink the milk.
Yeah.
And they are alive and healthy. And I think it's a bit the same with me when it comes to loud music. My body can deal with it.
Yeah.
And I'm still hearing pretty well. So I make a test every year. And yeah, of course, over, 14,000 hertz, it's a bit difficult. But hey, I'm not a bat, so all good.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it can affect people differently, right? I've got friends that got tinnitus randomly, and it just like completely destroys them.
Yeah, really? Why?
Just I think mentally. I think it's like the mental ring of like just trying to overcome that, and then also try and be creative on top of that. And I think it can be tough for some people, but it sounds like you've kind of managed to do it well, and it doesn't really affect you.
Yeah, the thing is, I have attended a therapy 8 years ago in Düsseldorf in a hospital. They offered it for tinnitus people. And I was there with, I don't know, 20 people. And there was one saxophone player and me, and then 18 other people. Yeah. And the saxophone player and I had tinnitus because of reasons we all know.
Yeah.
But the other people, they had tinnitus because of stress. And like mobbing or too much stress in their life. And then this, let's call it seminar, they taught us for 1 week how to deal with it.
Wow.
And this was really, really, really helpful. I mean, at this time, I was touring a lot, and it was annoying me a little bit. And after this week session, it was much, much better because, they teach you how to deal with it, how to handle it, and how to accept it. Yeah. And they gave us some really good tools in order to live with these circumstances.
Wow. Yeah.
And it really helped me. And nowadays, I simply accept it, and it's not really disturbing my life at all.
That's really interesting. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
But I think
I'm pretty sure it's everywhere, this therapy.
Must be.
So everybody can check it out, and it helps. I can highly recommend it.
Wow. Yeah, I've not heard of that.
Yeah, because it's a psychological thing. I mean, it's something between our ear and our brain, which is, I don't know, let's call it like the gain knob, which is kind of distorted.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very good way to choose this option, because when you accept it more, you can live with it in a better way, of course.
Yeah, totally. That makes sense. Yeah, I think it's something that the whole industry struggles with, right? Funny enough.
What a surprise.
Yeah.
That's a big surprise.
Especially like back in the day when earplugs weren't a thing and it was all about just going as hard as possibly. I think over the last like 5-10 years, health in the industry has kind of came way more fashionable, I guess.
Thank God.
Yeah, whether that's health, like physical health, nutrition, mental health, it's definitely changed, which is amazing. Have you seen the change over the years?
Well, of course, I'm thinking about this a lot.
Yeah.
And I have a very good friend. He is psychotherapist, and he's also looking after DJs and musicians.
Yeah.
I think that this topic is only about to start. And when I meet colleagues backstage or at the airport or in an airport lounge or plane, I sometimes still have the impression that some people don't want to talk about it because they maybe think that it's something like a weakness.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that almost every one of us, let's say, DJs and producers who are on the scene for a longer time, they sometimes have had problems in a mental way as well.
Totally.
Because touring and the circle of hotel, plane, club, hotel, plane, club is of course very challenging. And I think it's really time to talk more about this. Because it's human. I mean, it's nothing we should be ashamed of. Or what do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. What have you struggled with over the years in that sense, like mentally? With what?
Yeah, there are a lot of aspects. I mean, maybe one really massive aspect is that the party bubble and the everyday life bubble are very, very different.
Yeah.
On the one hand, I really appreciate it because a part of our life is, of course, making or having a normal life, because life is not 24/7 party. So in a way, I appreciate it because it always brings me down to earth when I'm back home, seeing my family and my kids. On the other hand, it's sometimes a bit difficult to make the transition within sometimes 12 hours. I mean, let's say I play in Marseille, south of France, take the morning flight, 10 a.m. I have slept for 4 hours, and then I'm back home at, let's say, 2 p.m. And then there are only 12 hours in between the party and opening the door. And this transition is sometimes tough because there are two different worlds. I love both worlds, but the transition is sometimes a bit tough. And this is something which is a challenge sometimes, for sure.
What is the tough side of it? Because I can relate, but what is it that's actually tough?
Yeah, tough is that during a party, there's lots of enthusiasm and people are heavy. There's a lot of energy in the room, in the club, and everybody's like, in the best case, so hey, we want more. And I also see our parties as an escape room of the weekend where people can have some distance from their everyday life. And then when you don't have to be at home already. I mean, you can just sit on the plane or in the airport in the departure hall, and everything is the other way around. It's sober. Everybody is more. People who are sitting around you are more. Have more serious face, and this is a challenge for all of us, for sure. I mean, it's not an easy one. And hey, but that's life. And
it's always, how funny is it when especially when you do the gig straight to the airport and you are literally coming straight from the show to the airport, you get into the lounge, your flight's at like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and everyone around you is wearing a suit because they're all going to work or it's a business meeting. That's the strangest thing for me, is like, you're coming off stinking of cigarettes and alcohol because that's what's been around you the whole night. And then you're walking into a situation where people are just going to do corporate life. It's very different. It's a very different lifestyle.
Yeah, and what maybe some people don't know or don't realize is the matter of fact that we still need to be disciplined, like corporate suits. I mean, in a different way, but we also have to be disciplined when we are touring or when we are playing or between the shows, that we stay healthy, that we make some sports and all this stuff in the best case. And this is an aspect which is maybe a bit off the radar, but if you want to do this business for a long time, there's no alternative, of course, because when you make the hard raver life for 20 years, it's difficult to stay, right?
I totally agree, and we've all seen it over the years, right? Is people have that lifestyle and it falls off eventually, and then there's some people that I don't know how, but can just keep going, like Scream, for example. Scream parties super hard, and for somehow he just keeps going. But how have you kept healthy over the years? What do you have, like a strict routine?
I don't want to be displayed as a health apostle, as you say in Germany. I try to straddle the divide between both worlds in a way. I love to be unhealthy sometimes. Let's say I also end up in a fast food restaurant 3-4 times a year. On the one hand, but on the other hand, I don't eat meat and try to eat as many as possible vegetables. Because I learned recently or in the last years how many vegetables we have, 1,000.
Yeah, we have a lot.
And how extremely healthy they are.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of the middle way. I don't want to be this vegan, super healthy, running every day guy on the one hand, and I don't want to be this extreme party animal just eating fast food like in Super Size Me. So I think the middle way is maybe the best, and it's quite okay. But hey, to come back to vegetables, I can just recommend this to everybody out there. There are so many great sorts I haven't known before. And New Year's Eve, I was in Berlin. I went to a vegan restaurant just a stone throw away from Watergate. And to make some advertisement, it's called Sunshine Vegan. It's an amazing place. I'm not co-owner, so I'm just recommending. And they had all these seitan dishes, duck, seitan shrimps and all this stuff. And it was amazing. I loved it. So little tip for all Berlin clubbers.
Berlin goers. Yeah, I talk a lot of shit on vegans just because for fun. But like I do really respect, like, I'm a huge foodie. So I've been to a few vegan restaurants, vegetarian restaurants, and I'm like, there's some amazing food because they have to get creative. They can't just put a plate of meat on the plate and cook a plate of meat with a bunch of butter, which will always taste amazing. So it's like they have to be super creative and to make something taste amazing. So yeah, I do respect that whole culture a lot. I do love experimenting and shit like that. I guess, are you a big food person?
A big what?
Food person?
Yeah, I mean, almost everybody is, right? So, of course, I love to eat good food. It doesn't have to be something super fancy.
Yeah.
But once again, there are so many vegetables. I'm
Marc Romboy loves the vegetables, everybody.
Yeah, so my next AP, you know the name already.
Vegetables.
Track A1 is broccoli and A2 is carrots.
That's great.
No, but I don't know how you grew up, but as a child, when you came back home, there was some meat on the plate, potatoes and maybe vegetable, but mainly meat. And I'm realizing more and more, and I'm not a hardcore vegan person at all, but I realize more and more how many wonderful alternatives are around. And hey, one thing is out of the question. We can't continue like this.
Yeah.
We are approaching 9 billion people on Earth, and 9 billion people can't eat meat.
Yeah.
That's impossible and can't be our aim. So yeah, let's be creative, right?
Yeah, it's crazy how many people are on this planet right now. It's just like so many fucking people. You can't even imagine. Even just when you like go to New York and you just walk around and you're like, how are all these people in one place? Or you go to Tokyo and you're like, where does everyone live? It's crazy.
Yep,
absolutely crazy.
Correct.
I want to talk about your record label. I've been a huge fan for years, and I kind of want to go a little bit into the history of it. So what's it called, and when did it start? Because I know you just hit was it 20 years or 25 years?
Systematic Recordings is becoming 20 in summer 24.
Yeah.
However, I made already a label which started in 1993 called Le Petit Prince, The Little Prince. That was my first label I co-ran with a friend. And yeah, it's a bit shocking that even Systematic is about to become 20.
Yeah.
But Systematic is now my baby. And I'm very happy how this imprint developed.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's been the reason for so many artists over the years to have a career, right?
Correct.
You've introduced a lot of people. why did you start it? Where were you at in your career when you decided to start it?
You have 2 hours time.
Yeah, go for it. I want to know.
Yeah, I will let you know. So, yeah, first of all, in 1991, I started to make music. And at this time, I was also studying medicine.
Oh, wow.
I just came out of school and went straight to the university. Nevertheless, after my lessons at the uni, I went to Düsseldorf, to the city center, to record stores, and was extremely hungry to buy the newest stuff, which came out on Underground Resistance, Plus 8, Go Bang, Low Spirit, Overdrive, and all these labels which were around at this point of time. And I was so hungry. I even went with friends to record stores in Ghent, Belgium, in Amsterdam, in Frankfurt, in Cologne. So it was really like a gold digging time. And I'm so happy that I could be a part of it. And in 93, I finally and eventually founded the label Le Petit Prince, made it, as I said, with a friend together. And all of a sudden, we were sucked into the business part and didn't have any time to make music anymore. The label went really well. And then we started to release commercial music as well.
Oh, wow.
Because we saw, wow, this is really working. The music we released entered the German and English charts.
Yeah.
There was a huge buzz in England for trance music starting at 97, 98 with releases from the likes of Ferry Corsten, Tiesto, and other people. And then the music we released became more and more commercial. It was good for the pocket, but bad for my mind. And in 2002, I went straight to my wife after making a DJ mix, which was more trancey, and I said to her, "It's over for me. I can't continue like this."
Yeah,
it was exactly the point of time when music came out, where, for example, the theme of Titanic soundtrack was taken into a trance instrumental and backing, and I said to my wife, "Hey, I can't do this anymore. It's we will earn good money, but I can't. I can't. It's annoying me, and it's there's no creativity and inspiration anymore at all." And this was the birth moment of systematic recordings.
Wow!
Because I returned back to my roots, and my roots are Chicago house, electric body music, Italo disco. Industrial, Detroit techno, you know the score. And that was the starting point to make systematic. The first release was with the guys from Booker Shade, and they were at the same time about to establish their Get Physical imprint. So there was a kind of movement of a few people like myself, like the Booker Shades, like Stefan Botzin, like Oliver Huntemann. And we all more or less stepped aside to say, okay, where are we? What do we want? And then this group of people, maybe a few people more, said, okay, we need a new track. And this track is the return to the roots. And this was the birth moment of systematic recordings almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's mad how big trance got, like, very quickly as well. And it took on another level of like commerciality from like from a genre that started in the underground, right? There's not really been anything else that's kind of done that, apart from like obviously your like classic house, but like I think in the UK we've always had house or electronic music in the charts. We've always been since the 90s, or even the 80s really, we've always been very lucky with that. But trance kind of had a moment, and I feel like it's coming back, which is interesting.
It's always coming back. Well, it never disappeared. Now the thing is, it's always a question how far you drive things.
Yeah.
And I still love trance music.
Yeah.
I mean, with labels like Afterlife, there is another renaissance of trance.
Totally.
Because Afterlife is nothing else than, let's call it trance 3.0.
Yeah.
And when trance was starting in the early 90s, it was released by labels like my own Le Petit Prince, Hard House, Superstition, IQ. And this music was really amazing because it had deepness, and there were amazing releases. I mean, remember Barbarella on Hard House, or Marmion Schöneberg on Superstition, or Microwave Prince tracks on my Le Petit Prince.
Yeah.
And then it became more and more and more and more commercial. And the end was really a track like Titanic. And I think the question is always how far do you drive it? And
I agree. What was that caused that? Was that finances? Was that like something like, oh, we're making very good money out of this, let's keep going at that point, that it got so commercial?
Yeah, it was one reason for sure. I mean, we founded a company, we founded a limited, we had people working for us, and there is also this twist, because in the beginning when you start, you are like, okay, I just want to do what I want to do, but when you found a company and you pay people, then you become automatically a little bit more how do you call it in English? Opportunistic.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And being opportunistic is nothing completely negative, because, I mean, when you pay people in your company, then you have also responsibility because you want to pay them.
Yeah, of course.
And there is this twist in life you have to learn. And thank God I found, let's say, a middle way where I say, okay, I can now do what I want, and I can still pay my bill for gas and power.
Yeah.
So that's maybe a short, good explanation.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get to that point in your life, though, where you were happy to balance, where it was like, okay, I don't need all the money in the world. It would be nice, but I don't need all the money in the world for me to be happy in what I'm doing creatively?
Yeah, first of all, it's very human that people try to earn as much money as they want. And I had the same development in my life between my mid of 20s and beginning of 30s. How can I explain it? This moment when I said to my wife, I'm not going to do this anymore, was a moment where two maybe creatures like the angel and the devil were sitting on my shoulders and saying to each other, do this, no, don't do this, do this, don't do this. And then it took me a while to discuss it with kind of myself. But then I realized that, and now we come back to mental health, that it's much more important to me to look into the mirror and to say, Marc, you are doing something you love.
Yeah.
And that was the last crucial thought which brought me to the point where I said, okay, now it's just about systematic and nothing else. And of course, I was a bit frightened that it could work economically, but it worked. So, and nowadays I can say that that to me personally, money is not everything.
Yeah, I think it's easy to say that, right? It's easy to say money's not, especially when you've like had money or you've experienced money at some point in your life. It's very easy, and it's easy for people that haven't experienced money
absolutely.
to go.
completely right. A very good sentence. And I'm very, very thankful for this experience.
Yeah.
Because I could go through this experience. I even played at Top of the Pops.
Wow.
All this stuff happened when we had our UK chart entry.
What record was this? I want to know, what record was that?
It was a cover version of Corgi's Everybody's Got to Learn Sometimes.
Okay.
And it was called I Need Your Loving Like the Sunshine, which is actually the main sentence. And nowadays, I'm very thankful for this experience.
I need to Google this because I think I know the record.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
I need, what was it called? I Need to Love Your Sunshine.
I need your loving in brackets like the sunshine. And here comes the thing, when I found it systematic, I didn't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
So when somebody addressed me regarding this track, I was, I don't know, please, let's not talk about it.
Yeah,
now, a lot of years later, I realized that it's part of my biography. And nowadays, I'm thankful for this experience. Also, it's a very sweet track.
Yeah.
And very commercial.
So you were NRG?
I wish, but no. It's the project was Marc and Claude.
Okay.
Like two French people. No, Energy was before. It was 10 years earlier.
Okay, makes sense. Oh, amazing. Damn, dude. It's like, obviously I only know you from your systematic days. Like, I've been playing your records
which is
a long time. Which
is good.
Yeah, but I think it's really nice, and I think it's like goes to show what for especially for younger people in the industry, that just because what you're doing now, you can change and you really can have success in other ways if you want. Like, we've all seen many artists over the years change names, change labels, and it's become very successful. And I think when you're in your late teens, early 20s, going into your 30s, it's very daunting to think, oh, I'm just going to completely change everything and start again. But it's doable. It's very doable.
Yeah, it's doable because feeling all right is a very good currency.
Yeah. I
know it's not so easy and it's easily spoken out. But hey, when your aim is to stay in this creative job for 10 years, for 20 years, for 30 years, then you have to rethink everything from time to time.
Yeah.
And as I said, nowadays I'm thankful for this experience. The interview 15 years earlier, I would have said, no, Will, please let us talk about something different.
Yeah.
But now I see that it's my biography in a complete picture.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very happy that I made this experience, because now I have also the privilege to see the contrast between these two worlds. And another thing is, let's say I'm a very famous EDM DJ, having lots of Spotify huge hits.
Yeah.
And let's say I love to buy Ferraris. I buy the first Ferrari, and then maybe I buy the 5th Ferrari or the 10th Ferrari. And honestly, for what?
Yeah.
I have 10 Ferraris there, and health is still the most important part in life. That my ears are working, that I'm happy with my music, and it's not so easy to straddle this divide. But 10 Ferraris when you are not healthy, what can you do with them?
You can't drive them.
You can make some selfies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, and that's the point I understood at a point of time, that it's not the Ferrari which makes you happy. It's your own mindset which makes you happy, and that you can look into the mirror and say, hey, I'm still making the music I love.
Yeah.
This makes you happy, and not the Ferrari.
No.
Or Lamborghini or Porsche or whatever.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think to counter that as well, there is also a level of people wanting materialistic things once they've achieved certain things, if that makes sense. So
totally.
Which I think like it's really easy for the industry to be like, or for life to be like, don't be materialistic, don't be materialistic, don't be materialistic. However, we live in a very materialistic world where I know from my experience that buying shit doesn't make me happy. But at the end of the day, that's just me. I've got friends that buying a Porsche makes them so fucking happy it's ridiculous. And that is their life. I think the interesting thing is where we're fortunate is what makes us happy is making a good record. And that costs absolutely nothing.
True.
So yeah, I totally agree with you. Health is everything, because you have to enjoy all those moments. Mental health as well and physical health is so key to enjoy all of that.
And we have some plans, Will, right? I mean, we want to serve some good music to the people.
Exactly.
And that's another thing which changed in my life. In the beginning of my career in the 90s, it was more about the scene and the lifestyle, and we are all one unity. And the main thing which brought me into the scene was that I loved this alien sounds of techno music, which sounded differently compared to rock and roll and all these genres which were around.
Yeah.
So it was like, wow, this sound, and Big Fun, this sound and that sound, and new Underground Resistance 303, wow. And this was my entry door to this music. But nowadays, there is a new shift which were added to the matter of fact that I like what I like. And this is to provide at a weekend good music to the people and to have a good time in order to meditate together. And I more and more see the value of what we are doing. I mean, we are bringing people together on the dance floor in every country. And nobody is fighting, nobody's arguing. Different people are dancing together independent from religion, look, color, skin. And this is something I could cry when I think about it. This is something which connects all of us, the artists who are performing, the people in the industry, and the people who are attending the parties. And this is something we can be very proud of.
I 100% agree with you. And it sounds cliche and it sounds a bit cheesy, me saying this, but I truly think like what a club brings to the community is as much as a church brings to the community, for the people that aren't religious. And I do treat a venue like a religious place because it allows people to escape and it brings people together that sometimes they're just by themselves during the week. We all know the rat race of life. We all know the 9-to-5 hustling of work and having to pay bills and having to deal with partners and kids and families, and just surviving can be a struggle in life, if that makes sense. And I think the escapism of the community in a nightclub allows people just to forget everything and be together. And that is the most important thing to me personally, is being able to give people that.
It's nothing cliche-esque at all. It's the truth. And I'm personally, and I think I can also speak for you, I'm so proud to be a part of it. I mean, there are evil people on this planet. We don't have to open this topic, but we know what we are talking about. And it's good that we are doing something which is the other way around. Bringing people together and fighting for it, working for it. And you know how it is. Sometimes you sit in your studio working on a track, on a loop. You are home alone and you have no resonance and you think, is this really good? And then 4 months later, you enter a stage, you drop this track, and then you remember. So I remember when I was sitting in front of the loop, in a sober way, and then you play this track and like, now it's time for the playback. And that's such a nice moment which is magical.
Yeah, it's kind of egotistical in a positive way to a certain extent as well, because it's like we write records that we are writing records for ourselves, but also the fact that it's for ourselves, like-minded people are coming to see us play. And it's kind of that, are they going to like this record? And wow, the feeling when they like this record, they are getting the endorphins are running through their body, but it also feedbacks to us. It's like that constant feedback loop in a venue. And there's no better feeling. And it raises my ego massively, because I'm like, fuck, I made this amazing record and listen to it and everyone's loving it. But in a positive way, because I think ego is positive and negative.
And do you know this moment where your own music recharges your battery?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is also such a great moment.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm sitting in a car and I'm maybe not in a good mood, or driving to an appointment where I'm not so keen to attend it, or I don't know. Let's say I'm in school and I have to write a test.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting in the car listening to your own music, and it recharges your own batteries, something you did yourself. I mean, wow.
It's amazing, isn't it? I was actually in the studio with somebody yesterday, and like, I think it's what we do every day. So we're so used to it, right? Just finishing and writing a record is just a walk in the park in my world, and I'm sure it is for your world, where you've done so many. It's just what we do. But then I was thinking yesterday in the studio, and I was like, damn, it's 17 years ago when I first started, I couldn't even turn the computer on and open up Logic correctly and work out how to use this. And it is an amazing feeling when you know that, every time you sit in front of that computer, you're probably going to finish something that is very playable. Whether it's good or not is a different situation, but it's very playable, and it can affect people's lives, every single thing. I'm sure you're the same. You play records that are never going to come out, and you get people asking you for them. And it's like, well, that's never going to come out. I personally think it's rubbish, but it still touched somebody's life, which is a beautiful thing, really.
Yeah. Today, we charge our batteries.
Yeah, man. I love it.
Big time.
I love it. So I want to talk about this album that you are about to release, or have released by the time this comes out. When's the album coming out?
March 17th, I think.
So this...
Let me check the calendar. Well, let's say mid of March. I think it's March the 17th.
Amazing. Yes. So I believe this is going to come out on March the 24th. So the album will be out now. What's the album called?
Music Made for Aliens.
Mate, that is a fucking good name. That is a very good name. I want to talk about your album process. This isn't your first album, right?
Not at all, no.
Okay. So I want to talk about how you processed. I haven't heard the album, so I don't know. I've heard one record that I remixed. So
this is something we must change quickly.
Oh, I know. I haven't heard any of it. So
No, this is something we will change.
Thank
for
you.
Sure.
So I feel like usually I would have heard this album and like talked through track to track and kind of, but I really want to be selfish and ask about your process of start to finish, of how you wake up one day and decide you want to do an album, or is it the record label comes to you, we want to do an album? I know the label's on, is it Awesome Soundwave, which is Christopher Coe and Carl Cox's label.
Correct.
So, yeah, what's the process? Tell me about it.
Yeah, an album is always a very special and extended thing. It's not like a single you do maybe within a week.
Yeah.
And then you just release it. So when it comes to me, an album has to be like a book. Mm-hmm. So it has to have a concept.
Yeah.
And it has to have a certain message. And Christopher Coe and Carl Cox asked me in 2020 whether I can imagine to make an album for them. I instantly said, yes, I want to. And then the pandemic was about to start, and I had no inspiration for club music anymore at all.
Yeah.
So in the meanwhile, I made an electronica listening album with a singer lady from South Tyrol, which is coming out end of this year under a different name. But at this time, when the pandemic was, let's say, ruling the globe, I couldn't make any dance music anymore, any club music anymore. And exactly 1 year ago, the feeling for club music re-entered my mind. And I made a lot of analog synth sessions in my studio and also in Iceland, where I rented a great studio in Reykjavik in the harbor area. Thanks to the support of the Guskus guys, Biggie and President Bongo, good friends of mine. Greetings to you guys. And they said, okay, go to the studio. They have all synthesizers you can imagine.
Amazing.
And I was there 2 times before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And when the idea came up to make the club album, I called up a guy I know for a very long time, and his name is Andre Winter. He's also artist on Sensor Sounds, label from Oliver Huntemann. And back in the days, he released under the name Gate 28 on Bush Records.
Okay,
something maybe a few people don't know. And he's a great guy and an amazing producer. And I called him up and said, hey, I have this idea to make the album, and I have already made all the analog synth sessions, but I want to have you on board in order to finalize these tracks.
Amazing.
Because you are a effing amazing producer.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, why not? Let's do this.
Yeah.
And then, we both finalized the album.
Amazing.
So he's the, let's say, invisible power behind it.
Yeah.
But not anymore, because now I unveiled it. And it was a great time. So we produced this album between February and June last year. 7 tracks. And to tell you a little secret, most of the tracks are called after places where UFOs have been explored.
Amazing.
So this is the first time I'm saying this, because you remixed Hanenda, and maybe, I know I didn't tell you. So,
no, you didn't tell me.
Hanenda is a place in Japan where UFOs were sighted.
So I didn't know Hanenda was a place until I really struggle. Like, I'm kind of dyslexic, so I really struggle with pronouncing words. And I was talking to my manager, and I was like, what is the name? What is this name? I can't even pronounce it. And he was like, it's Hanenda. And I was like, what's Hanenda? And he was like, it's a place in Japan. So I was like, interesting. I didn't know that at all. I thought it was like going to be based on where you've been touring or something like that, kind of the generic, but it's where UFOs have been sighted, correct?
Yeah, it's the first time I'm mentioning this. And my first single, Belgium, which came out a few months ago with an amazing Josh Wick remix, by the way.
So good.
You and Josh, you really nailed it. Oh my God. 2 of the best remixes I have ever had in my life, really. Thanks for this. Thanks,
anytime,
Josh.
man.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah, Josh's remix is great. I was listening to that this morning as well. He's so good. But
yours as well. I just spoke to Timo Maas the other day.
Yeah.
And I was with him in the studio and was like, this Will Clarke remix, oh my God, the longest break ever. I mean, to unveil something, your remix is 1 break.
Yeah, it's literally 1 huge break.
Which is amazing. Where were we at? I don't know.
We were talking about where aliens have landed.
Yeah, and exactly. That was
in Belgium.
the point. Belgium, You can also Google it. In the beginning of the 90s, they saw UFOs in Belgium all over the country. I think for even 1 year. And it was in the news, it was everywhere. They were seen in the area of Leuven, near Brussels.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil it, but it's worth it to check the Wikipedia article about UFO sighting in Belgium.
So where did all this UFO inspiration come from, or alien thing come from? Is it something that you're interested in?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there are a lot of articles about this at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have also read the articles that the US government is more and more open for this topic.
Yeah.
And I think they even said that they are not excluding the likeliness anymore, that there's some life besides the Earth.
Totally.
Yeah, and when I made the album, I came to this notion, which I mentioned before, that when I was exploring the first techno tracks on UR and +8, example, that I was like, or Acid House in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, Jolly Rogers, Acid Man, when I listened to it the first time, I was so like, good. This guy must come from a different planet.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so different. It had nothing to do with the music in the charts. And it was the time when tracks like Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax, and Kate Bush, Running Up That Hill came out. Also great tracks.
Yeah.
But then there was Jolly Rogers, Acid Man, or Future Acid Tracks, or Fast Eddie, Acid Thunder, or all these tracks. And I was like, wow, these tracks must have been made by aliens. And now was the time to pay something back to the aliens.
I love that. Have you ever seen a UFO?
Maybe yes, because when I was 10,
a
friend of mine told me about UFOs, and I was extremely scared.
Yeah.
And there was a time of a few months where I really thought that I hear and see them every night, and I couldn't sleep. And then my mom explained me, but the likeliness is not so high, and don't worry and don't be scared. But at this time, I was a bit scared of UFOs. And now I would love to meet these guys and to tell them and to ask them a few things about the place where they're coming from. And hopefully, it's a better place.
I agree.
Without wars like our place.
I know, man. Yeah. I think this is the thing is I believe they fully exist. I believe they have been on Earth, but obviously the proof we don't fully have. But
it's very likely.
It has to be, right?
It's likely. I mean, it's mathematics, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's likely that they are existing.
And the fact that they could come to Earth means that they must be way far technologically way far advanced to where we are at in life, which is amazing to me, because I think we all grew up thinking we're the only people in this planet in the universe, and to think we're the best of the best. But I've even gotten really into like ancient technologies recently, and like how they made the pyramids, and how like there's been civilizations that have just like been destroyed, and how technologically like advanced were they compared to what we are today. And I think there's so much stuff we don't know about, which I find very interesting.
Especially pyramids. I mean, talk to an architect and ask him about it, and he explains you a bit about it, and you go mad, because actually they are impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, they are impossible, but they were built.
And also the fact that the stone they know that the stone is from like 500 miles away. Like, how did they transport that stone back then from what we know, like 500 miles, and these blocks are like huge, and every single block had to line up exactly the same, otherwise it wouldn't have been a pyramid. It's crazy.
Mind-blowing.
It's fucking crazy. And then it's just us in our studios making bleeps and stuff with analog gear.
By the way, have you heard that the last Boeing 747 was just built?
The last one?
Yep, the last jumbo jet.
What are they doing instead?
I think nothing, because they say that this kind of plane is not really economically efficient anymore.
Yeah.
But now a question, so let's make a little quiz, because I learned it this morning. What do you think, how many Boeing 747 were built?
I don't have a clue. Now? Maybe...
Just guess.
20,000?
That's a lot. No, 1,500.
Oh, really? 1,500. Is that it?
Yes. Oh, it's a lot, I think.
I thought
20,000 is maybe a bit too much.
I don't know, but you think how many flights there are every single day?
Yeah, it's astonishing in so far that it could be more, but I mean, they fly for a long time. And I was a bit sad yesterday when I heard the news that they are not building this plane anymore.
I'm interested to see what they're going to make in future, because air travel is easy, right? It is what it is. It's great, but I'm interested to see. Have you ever been on one of the Dreamliners?
Yes.
They're so much nicer. They're silent.
Yeah, the window. I like the window.
Yeah.
There are no shades anymore. You can change the intensity of the brightness, right?
And the air feels cleaner. I am really interested to see what happens in the next like 10, 15 years with travel. I wish somebody would make teleportation.
Please.
Oh my God, that would be the best. I'm surprised no one's actually tried it. Surely they have.
Yeah, of course, of course. But what about the soul? That's the problem, huh? Copy-paste soul, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. Anyway, we digress. I want to carry on talking about album. So I guess we got to the end of it, the process, where it was you and your friend Andreas. When you're finished with the album, whilst you're writing the album, are you writing other records for like non-album stuff as well, or are you just strictly I'm working on this time period for the album?
Strictly album.
How long does that take?
Well, yeah, it took a while, because I'm always a bit on the perfect side of production. So I saw already a lot of YouTube tutorials about not to be perfect, but I cannot dig this.
Yeah.
So
it's in the blood.
So it's very difficult for me. And although I learned a little bit, so YouTube is full of this kind of this video. And well, now I stop at 99% instead of 99.9%. So that's already a really good development and achievement for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I said, I know it sounds a bit old-fashioned, but I'm a big fan of albums.
Mm.
The streaming services are not really fans of albums on the other side. But I want to stick to it, and I'm pretty sure that there are enough people around who can dig the idea.
Yeah.
And if somebody prefers to listen to one track, fair enough. Mm. But when you listen to a Marc Romboy album, you can get sure that you can that I take the person on a journey.
Yeah.
And that the running order of the tracks makes sense.
Yeah. How is that process of working out the running order? Because that's hard.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not that hard, because when you take the opening track, it's a typical opening track.
Yeah.
And the last track, Aurora, is an electro track. Your friend Vision remix, by the way.
Oh, amazing.
Not sure. Do you know the remix already?
No, not yet.
Okay. I will send it to you.
Yeah, please do.
And it will be out in June. In June, by the way, in June we will have a remix album out.
Amazing.
Where all remixes are compiled in one bundle. Yeah, and Aurora is the last track, and it's an electro track, which makes really sense at the end. And in between, there are some up and downs. But the thing is, listen to the album, close your eyes, put on the headphones, and have a trip.
Amazing.
And then the running order comes automatically.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you on the whole album thing with like stream platforms don't like it, but I think that's the reason why a lot of artists stopped doing albums was because they're commercially not successful on streaming platforms. And I think that got people out of listening to albums, especially in an electronic form. But I think it's just down to us as artists to write the albums and start releasing them again. And I think if you give a demand, and I think people now want to be more part of an artist's journey, which an album is a huge thing for an artist. It's not just releasing singles. It's not, for me, my goal is to be an album artist, to be fair, when I release my first album, that's my goal, is from then on just to be albums. But yeah, I think it's just down to all of us to actually start releasing them again. I know Maceo Plex is about to release one. You've released one. Evision had one last year or a year and a half ago. Like, I think it's good that people are bringing them back.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the culture of albums should remain.
Yeah.
And I'm not against streaming services.
No.
To me, it's a bit like radio, but people still have the chance, if they are more interested into exploring the artist, to listen to the album. That's a good thing. And I mean, I'm coming from these times, in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. The vinyl album was the only possibility to explode an artist. And sometimes even the best tracks are the tracks which are not singles.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. Awesome Soundwave, from what I gather, the whole idea is everything's live. Like, it's a live artist, live album. It gets performed live. Are you going to be performing the album live, as in with gear on stage?
Yep, absolutely.
Amazing.
So first of all, much respect to Carl and Chris for setting up this label. This label is really ideal. The philosophy is ideal. It's not about having hit record after hit record. It's more about giving live artists a platform in order to unfold themselves. And there's not really a commercial idea behind it. I mean, it's first of all about the platform, and if people love it, even better. So big thanks to them for this idea, which I really appreciate. And yes, I will perform the album and also my catalog in a live way.
Yeah.
Because after so many years of DJing, I felt the urge to start something additionally. I still love to DJ, but it's a totally different way to perform music, and of course also a way to perform music from other people than yourself, which is fair enough because it's this kind of culture.
Yeah.
But it's not the best idea if you want to perform your own catalog only, and therefore live shows are really good. And I have a German word in mind which is called Spielfreude.
A German what? Sorry, a German word.
The word is called Spielfreude.
Yeah.
And to translate it, I'm not sure whether there's an English equivalent to this. It means the joy to play.
Yeah.
The joy to twiddle the knobs.
Yeah.
The joy to have fun with your music. And this is something you can make with playing live, because I worked on a setup where I can have the studio situation on stage.
Wow.
So it's a bit like a mix of stamps, which are part of the tracks people know from me, on the one hand, and completely new elements which remix the track in a way, in a spontaneous way on stage on the other hand. And this is a new way of performing I was really looking forward to. And I was also planning, because if there is a disadvantage of DJing, it's a matter of fact that you cannot really change the tracks. You can make a transition, but you can't really change the music you are playing. And that's the thought behind it. So
yeah, totally. How do you travel with, like, what gear are you taking on the road when you're doing it? Is it a nightmare or is it easy?
It's always a challenge, of course. But I'm not that type of guy who's coming with a board of modular system. Because my focus is more on finding as many as possible ways and options to play additional lines and drum loops and all this stuff. And my idea is not to bring tons of analog gear on the stage, because you can also, I have the Nano 9 here, but you can also play a Nano 9 out of your DAW. And my idea is more to focus on controllers, as many as possible, in order to edit and change the music in a maximum way. That's my philosophy. I mean, maximum respect to all these people who are coming with a huge modular system boards.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I sometimes think, okay, can I please put my code here? But no, much respect, just joking. But I have a different approach.
Yeah, I think sometimes as well is the difficulties to tour with so much gear must be so hard. Like I was in Mexico just before Christmas, I think. Yeah, and we were playing a festival, and one of the headliners, I can't remember exactly who it was, it's almost like a live band. So they're touring with all their gear and stuff like that. They got to the Mexican border, and the Mexican police were like, you have to pay us just cause. And it's like, if they didn't pay, it was like 10 grand. And it was like, if you didn't pay, you're not going to be able to perform. So it's like, there's so many other things. If you can keep as compact as possible, it makes traveling so much easier and affordable. And you have to remember, like, all your gear is going to get broken eventually, because it's just getting thrown around. It's tough.
Yeah, this is true. And this is also one reason why I'm not doing this. I mean, I have my stuff, and I'm also playing with a Sub 37, which I can also see next to you.
Yeah.
And but nevertheless, my opinion is I also have the ARP 2600 over there, where the Pac-Man monster is standing on. Nevertheless, the ARP 2600 from Arturia, which is a plugin, is simply amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can bring this thing, but hey, we are living in a world of digital options.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, there must be a good sequence which comes out of this machine, independent from being a plugin from Arturia or other companies or the hardware.
Yeah.
And this is something which is sometimes a bit off the radar, because even producers and professional producers are talking too much about, it must be hardware, it must be hardware. No, that's an illusion.
Yeah.
You need a good track with good ingredients.
100%.
That's it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I think it's nice to have hardware for me.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, you see it here in the background. I love it, but I love both worlds.
Yeah, I agree.
And if I can go to a festival with a CS80, with an ARP 2600, with a music easel, with a Minimoog, and they are all in my laptop, happy days. I mean, why not?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that, man. I agree. So are you touring the album, or are you just kind of doing shows here, there, dotted around? Or is the plan to do like an album tour?
No, I will make an album tour.
Yeah.
And I will play assorted gigs. Not too many, because I have a family at home and also a studio and also a life besides touring.
Yeah.
But of course, I will play this year the album. And last year I had already the privilege to play a few shows where Carl Cox invited me.
Amazing.
At DC10 and at Wembley Arena, an example, so that I could test the live show.
Yeah.
And for sure. I mean, now is the time.
Amazing, dude. Amazing. Well, we've just done an hour and 20 minutes. Let's wrap this up. Thank you so much for coming on. Like, I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I can't wait to meet you in person and write some music together and hang out.
Yeah, likewise. And 1 hour 20, is it the new record or not?
No, not the record, not the new record, but I don't want to put, I don't want to put,
make a second one.
The record is like 2.5 hours.
Okay.
But we've all got things to do. No one needs to listen to the 2.5 hours of us talking.
Okay, I mean, your audience might know, but how will our great chat be broadcasted on which channels?
So this is when this is out, this is on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, everything. So yeah, it's everywhere pretty much. You can't not miss it. How can people listen to your album?
Excuse me?
How can people listen to your album?
I have a super good idea. Are you up for this? I still have one test pressing of the album.
Amazing.
And we can make a draw if you want.
Let's do it.
So what can it be? So people can just put a friend in the comments and the reason why they want this white label pressing, or what do you suggest?
Yeah, let's do it. So if you want a copy of this, Mark and I will do a post on Instagram when the episode is out. And if you want a test press of the album, comment in the posts and share the post, and the winner will be picked.
Wonderful. And it's, by the way, the only test pressing I have left here. So the one is a lucky guy.
I want it.
I sent you the link. But you can participate.
Of course, on my own post.
You are the winner.
I'll pin myself at the top.
Yes. Okay, so that means we have a deal, and you tell the people what to do in order to get this unique copy.
We will do that. This whole part of the conversation will be one of the clips that you'll get, so we can all post that at the same time.
Amazing,
dude. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for getting me to remix your record. When you messaged me, I was like, surely not. Marc Romboy isn't asking me to remix his record, so it's an absolute honor to remix your record. Thank you, man, and I look forward to seeing you in the near future.
Yeah, and by the way, thanks also for your amazing remix.
Anytime, man.
I'm not saying this because you're here now, because this remix is really good. Believe me, it's a bomb.
Let's try.
And by the way, we have we are amongst us, so I can ask you, nobody's listening to us. We have a remix swap deal. So do you have already a track in mind I might remix or may remix?
I don't.
Or not.
I'm gonna stop recording and then I can tell you. So let me stop recording and I'll tell you. 1 second.
Spoiler alarm, okay.
Spoiler alert, yeah, 1 second. Thank you so much for coming on. Big love. And that is a wrap. Thank you to Mark for coming on. I love that a lot. Hope you enjoyed it as well. Please share it with your friends, your family, whoever will get anything from it. It just keeps the podcast going. See you next time.